Here we are right back again. This is Legacy of Leaders, and I'm your host, Jamar Suber. And as you know, I talk to amazing entrepreneurs and business owners who push us to go higher. And today I'm with Townsend Russell of 100% Dad. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Man, great book. Tell us about the book.
The book is, it took 3 years to write. We'll start with that. So parenting books are one of those things that I've always felt are incredibly boring to read. Mm-hmm. Like every time I've read one, it puts me to sleep. And I've read probably over 100 of them. Wow. So with this one, I wanted something that a dad could read, not be put to sleep, and it would actually be able to change his life for the better. Yeah. And so I'm really proud of how it came out. I think it looks good. You were handling it earlier. Yeah, absolutely. But not only does it look good and feel good, but the content in between that's actually in the pages is really life-changing. That's great. And it really will walk a father from, now I will say this, it's good dad to great dad. It's not convinced, or it's not meant for the dad out there that is just not involved in his kid's life. It's not meant for the deadbeat dad or things like that. It's meant for the dad that's already involved in his child's life. And how do we become the best version of ourselves? How do we take a good dad and make him great and make him a legendary patriarch in the family? And so that's, that will walk you through. It kind of goes through the history of fatherhood, the challenges that we've had in America as fathers. And then it'll really walk a dad through a tangible way to make himself better and to really create clarity in his family and get the family all on the same page. Yeah. And it will work. I promise you, it'll work 100% of the time. We've been preaching this for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's based on time-tested principles. And,
man, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is great. I can't say enough good things about it. Yeah. Obviously, I wrote it, so I'm very proud of it. But, so it's a biased opinion, but as we just released it, as we've been getting feedback back, I guess my opinion has been validated. So that's a good thing. The reviews are coming in strong.
One thing about fatherhood has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with race and all these other things. There are various cultures and various backgrounds where fathers aren't so good. We need to become great. There's a camaraderie thing there across all beliefs. How important is it for a good dad to become a great dad?
I think it's massively important. So one of the good things about the country we live in is we do a lot of studies, we do a lot of research, and that's going to be civic organizations, that's going to be government studies, that's going to be university studies. We like to poll people, we like to measure data, and I have yet to find a report or a white paper study that says if you remove a father from the home, things get better. All the things that we measure, I mean, and you're talking economics, you're talking poverty, you're talking STD rates, you're talking about community health, charitable giving. I mean, every possible metric that humans measure, in a family setting, they improve when dads are involved, and they improve greatly. And if you remove a father from the home, those metrics tank. And so you're talking like teenage pregnancy, you remove a father from the home, teenage pregnancy is 4 times as likely. Wow. You're I think 70% more likely to live below the poverty level. I mean, it's every single metric. There's not one of those that trends in the right direction when you remove dads. So we have found that dads are an incredibly key piece, and not only the family but the community as a whole.
That's amazing. Yeah. So 100% Dad, what do you do?
100% Dad's an online platform, and we provide content that is either some sort of encouragement for dads or some sort of wisdom for fathers.
Man, what drove you to this particular this is a purpose. How did you find it? How did you find this space?
Well, obviously being a dad helps. That's something that
that would help.
That it definitely works. I like being a dad. It's just something that really came natural to me. I always wanted to be a dad. Then it's a weird thing to say, even as like a young kid. Like I just always wanted a family. I liked the family environment. And we had the fortune to be able to retire early. We had some businesses here in town, in St. Augustine and Jacksonville, and we sold those in 2019. So we were able to financially retire. We're still obviously very young, had young kids at the time, and we wanted to do something. It didn't have to be profit driven. So we wanted to find a way to give back or contribute to the world. And so I always felt like you should do things you're passionate about, and I really enjoyed being a dad, and I enjoyed kind of like, I always kind of studied the subject. Like I was always, if I saw a book on fatherhood or being a dad or parenting, I was always kind of skimming through it and reading it. And I was always talking to other fathers, especially the ones that have, had older kids that have, become successful in life, and they have a good relationship, and they want to have Christmases and Thanksgivings together, and they're not torn apart. Like I've always had a quest or a thirst for that type of knowledge. And so I just satisfied that, and then started condensing it all and started kind of regurgitating some of that information and condensing it in new ways and putting it out there. And that ended up becoming the basis for 100% Dad.
Wow.
And so we started putting out there, and on Instagram we got pretty popular. So we just kept it going, and it's been a fun world because, whatever hobby you have, whatever career you have, the more effort you put into it, the more you're going to get back. So same thing with your interviewing here. The more interviews you do, the more you study other interviewers, you read about how to interview people and how to create conversations, the better you're going to get at it. Like, it doesn't matter where you start. You could be the worst interviewer in the world. Like, the more you do it, you're going to get better. It's the same thing with fatherhood. And so that's really one of our quests, is like, the more us dads focus on fatherhood, talk to other fathers about fatherhood, read dad books like Good Dad to Great Dad, and follow dad platforms like 100% Dad and all the others as well, we're going to improve in that area. So if we want to improve as fathers, we should absolutely be consuming that content and studying and breathing it. And so that's what I did myself. And the good thing is, when you teach something, when you're always studying and putting it out there, you're the greatest beneficiary, to be honest. So it's a fun little, what is that, a catch-22 maybe?
It is. Yeah. Man, I love the work. Thank you for what you do. It's definitely needed, Townsend. Thank you for coming on to the show.
Absolutely.
And if there's a good dad out there who wants to become great, what's one thing he can focus on today?
Make it tangible. So the biggest issues we see in families is that the communication is not clear, and there's a lot of confusion there. So I want you to write things down. So if you've got rules in the household, which hopefully you have rules, let's go ahead and write those down. If there's if there's consequences, like if we've there's some sort of punishment or reward, let's go ahead and write those down. Because some of the biggest, these are very simple things, but some of the biggest things we see is, hey, you've lost your phone for a week. Yeah. And then dad and mom are like, when did that start? When does it end? I mean, so a very simple thing is just write it down. Yeah, have a dry erase board. Have a paper. We all have stainless steel fridges. Dry erase works on stainless steel. Write it on the fridge. Yeah. All right, phone's gone from this date to that date.
I love it.
And so, simple. Very simple. Or, hey, bedtime starts at 8 o'clock. Our bedtime chores are done by 8:30. Whatever it is, hey, little Johnny does dishes on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Yeah. So creating clarity by making it tangible and writing it down is probably the simplest and most effective way to really create clarity in the household.
Absolutely. Townsend, thanks again, man. I appreciate that. Create clarity, write it down, make it tangible. You've just watched A Legacy of Leaders. I'm your host, Jamar Suber. So long.